Hello, my name's Sandy Briden. I have sarcoma. I've made this short presentation for three particular reasons. One, to help friends and family understand what sarcoma is. Two, to help people newly diagnosed with sarcoma understand what they have and where it fits into the cancer picture, as I found it very difficult when I was first diagnosed, had very little knowledge. And three, it's July, it's Sarcoma Awareness Month. So the first question I'd like to address is, what is sarcoma? Sarcoma is a type of cancer. It's a rare type of cancer. Sarcomas are rare cancers that develop in muscle, bone, cartilage, nerves, tendons, blood vessels, fibrous and fatty tissues, in fact everywhere outside of an organ. That's the problem, is sarcomas are in places you wouldn't normally expect cancer to be. There are about 80 different types of subtypes of sarcoma, and they fall into three main categories. We have soft tissue sarcoma, that's me, bone sarcoma, and gastrointestinal stromal tumours, otherwise known as GIST, and these are soft tissue sarcomas in the stomach and the intestines. We have a number of types of sarcoma. We have bone sarcoma, so Ewing's, osteosarcoma, chondrosarcoma, chordoma. Ewing sarcoma is the one you typically hear when you hear about children having sarcoma. They're the ones that usually make the press, and they tend to be in young children. There are other sarcomas which are more predominantly found in older people. We have a number of soft tissue sarcomas, lymosarcoma, liposarcoma. Lipo is found in fatty tissues. Leiomyosarcoma is in muscular tissue. We've already mentioned the GISTs. These are the more common types of tumours. I have undifferentiated pleomorphic sarcoma, UPS. This is very rare, and it's more of a diagnosis of exclusion. What that means is you have your tumour tested, and if it doesn't fit into the other 80 odd categories, then you would be defined as having UPS. Undifferentiated, as in the cells, you think of them as really young cells. This is why they use stem cells, because they haven't actually developed into any particular cell. Pleomorphic, the cells are all different shapes and sizes, spindle cells, giant cells. So it is really just, it doesn't fit into another category. How rare is sarcoma? About 1% of all sarcomas are, 1% of all cancers are sarcoma. In the UK, there are about 2,800 new cases every year. If you then extrapolate, the UK population is upwards of 65 million. So of the 1% of cancers that are sarcomas, less than 1% of all sarcomas are UPS. That equates to less than 28 people a year. But UPS is usually found in the limbs, the arms, the leg, the butt. This makes me exceptionally rare, sort of 1 in 65 million. My primary site was my stomach. There's no cure around the corner. It's not, a GIST is a relatively simple sarcoma. One gene can be targeted. UPS affects multiple genes, multiple mutations, and we need lots and lots of research to investigate these sorts of cancers further. As my doctor said to me last week, these may be rare. A lot of money goes understandably into breast cancer, prostate cancer, but people with sarcomas still need to be treated. We still need to be looked after, and we still need research to actually help understand how these diseases work. And I think a lot of sarcomas go undiagnosed as well, for reasons that we'll talk about soon. The treatments involved can be surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy. Initially I had surgery. We didn't quite know what sarcoma it was at the time. I will not have radiotherapy because I have multiple genes and they're very well spread out, so it doesn't make a good target for radiotherapy. I have had chemotherapy. There are a number of types of chemotherapy. I've had doxorubicin, ifosfamide. Unfortunately, though doxorubicin works, I've had my lifetime dose. The types of chemo depends on the stage, the grade, the type. It may work for one, so it doesn't particularly work for GISTs. They'll use a particular drug called Gleevec, which is more successful. And the other type of treatment, which is what I've been on since August, is palliative care. That's end-of-life care, just making your life as comfortable as possible. I'm unable to have further operations. There are so many tumours. My type of cancer travels in the bloodstream. I've already had one operation and it's spread. So to have an operation, I don't particularly want another operation, and the tumours would just spread further. So it's not really an option because there's an exceptionally high chance of it returning. One thing I didn't understand about when I first had sarcoma was the grading, the staging. People say, what stage, what grade? And I thought, I really don't know. Do I want to know? We have low grade, high grade. So low grade is slow, less aggressive, more normal types, going up to the high grade where they're fast growing, they're aggressive, and they look abnormal. The stages, again, from 1 to 4. Stage 1 being it's small, low grade, less than 5 centimetres. Quite often, if you have the larger tumours, they want to try therapy, chemotherapy, to shrink the tumours to an operable size. I am stage 4. It's spread it to other parts of the body now, and I'm just taking each day and doing things like videos to promote awareness. Quite often, you'll find that sarcomas are misdiagnosed. I was initially told, the first time I went to the doctor, that I had stress. My pain was just below my ribs. The doctor said there was nothing there. Nothing there as in there aren't any organs. I knew it wasn't stress because I'm not a stressful person. Just by luck, we took a blood test because I'd lost a lot of weight and ended up with a diagnosis ultimately of UPS. I have a friend who I've met on the various Facebook forums who also has UPS, but this is of her bone, which again is very, very rare. And she made this wonderful little video clip just explaining how important it is that you have to be careful when you get any lumps, bumps, swellings, to go to the doctor. If it's not acting normally, if it doesn't go away, if you're losing weight, to actually get it looked at.
I was never a sick person. I never had allergies. I would never get hit by bad flus or colds or nothing. So anything out of the normal, like, I would sometimes just ignore almost because I felt, oh, I'm always healthy, so this will work its way out. I was diagnosed with a very rare form of sarcoma. My doctor and I kind of had, the talk about prognosis and lifespan and all that stuff. And I learned that there's a good chance that, this is going to kill me, that I will lose this fight, and it may happen sooner than we thought. I was at work and my desk at work was a little low. And I got into the habit of, when you sit back at your desk, you would kind of like put your knee up and your knee hits the desk. And I started to feel a bruise. So I just automatically assumed, it's probably because I'm leaning against my desk so often. And the bruise never went away, and I never saw a bruise. Afterwards, I started getting these shooting pains going down my leg. And as the day went on, it got worse to the point where I couldn't even really weight bear. So I went to this walk-in clinic, and the doctor hardly examined me. Just watched me walk up and down the hall and said, "You have a shin splint." And I didn't even know what a shin splint was. But I thought, okay, because I trusted the doctor. He gave me a prescription for Vicodin, told me to ice it, sent me on my way. And I remember leaving, thinking to myself, he didn't even order an x-ray. How does he know, there's no fracture? And in my mind, I thought, well, I don't care what it is as long as the pain goes away. which eventually it did. And then in July, my knee just blew up. I had to take the shoes off, and I blamed the shoes. So I went to an orthopedic doctor, and he did an x-ray right there in the office. He saw a shadow, sent me for an MRI just to get a clearer picture, and that's when they discovered the tumor. Going to a doctor's appointment is a blip in your day. It's 1 or 2 hours out of your day. If it ends up being nothing, awesome, celebrate. If it ends up being something, celebrate that too, because then you just caught something, hopefully early on, and you could get it taken care of. You just have to kind of force yourself, or just tell yourself, this doctor is here to help me. You know, he's heard it all. I'm not going to shock him today, you know. And just kind of, it's like jumping into, you know, a cold pool or something. You know, you just have to do it. The one big thing that I've learned over the last 6 years during this cancer journey of mine is questions. It doesn't matter if it's a big question, small question, ask it. Anytime I think of a question, I put it into my notes app, because I know I'm going to have my phone with me that day. So when I see the doctor, I whip out my phone and I make sure that we cover every question that I've thought of between visits. I'll even make notes on like symptoms, and I think it helps the doctor too to hear kind of where your thoughts are. I don't want people to look at me and think cancer. You know, cancer is an illness I have. It's not me. You know, so I try very hard to, you know, always present myself as just Dina. You know, I still wanted to go to opening day for the Yankees on Monday.
So you can see that Dina's slide is very, very important to just be aware. If you're unsure, do go and have a second opinion, see your doctor. There's also this very useful course that I found. I've actually taken it. It took me about 30 minutes, but then I'm quite up on sarcoma at the moment. The doctor that misdiagnosed me and told me I had stress, I kept thinking, and I would tell people about this, and then I thought, well, there's no point in telling everyone if I don't do anything about it. So I actually took this course down to her and asked her politely if she would just look through it. Some doctors will never see a sarcoma. It's not going to be first and foremost on their minds. It's by the British Medical Journal. A lot of doctors have already registered and taken this course. It's free. It's called Lumps, Bumps and Sarcomas. I found it very useful for myself, but if you have a GP you're not sure about, then maybe you could just sort of suggest they have a look at this, or you have friends that it just refreshes their knowledge on sarcomas. There are a lot of support groups out there, and the support groups for me have been absolutely vital. There is support on Twitter, I am sarcoma, and you just have to put in sarcoma or your type of sarcoma. The ones I find particularly useful are sarcoma patients in the UK and Ireland, Sarcoma Alliance, but there are a lot out there. I've also joined the pleomorphic, and to give you some idea of the rarity, there are upwards of 7,000 people on the Sarcoma Alliance worldwide. There are 196 on the pleomorphic spindle cell site. There are also local support groups that I've only recently started going to. It's quite tough having sarcoma. A lot of the people you make friends with, you lose along the way, and it's quite tough. But a few weeks ago I thought, no, I need to get back out there, and I went to the Sarcoma UK and met some amazing fellow sarcoma warriors and got information about the Kindred study. So they've, as well as meeting other people, it's really quite interesting. I know there's a Bournemouth support group, so just look up your local areas. There's also support for family members. All of the sites on the Facebook pages are not just for sarcoma sufferers. There are a lot of husbands, wives, boyfriends that just need that help and support. Also, I've stumbled across a cancer hotel called the Grove in Bournemouth, and this really changed my life. I was sitting at home and I really didn't want to go out. I was too nervous. But after I stayed in this amazing hotel, and I've been in magazine articles promoting it because it did make a difference. And you can stay. I stayed with my father, my daughter, and they just really look after you. And if you've got a PICC line, it doesn't matter because district nurses will come and visit you. So it's well worth looking up if you just need that bit of break, that little bit of respite. Following from this video, there are various definitions because I didn't understand all the terms and the technology, and just people that have helped me, that I've asked to correct my information. My oncologist, Dr. Robin Jones, who's absolutely amazing, and I'll send him information, say, will you just read through this, check, am I writing and am I talking about, you know, the correct things. Sarcoma UK, which is a great charity, and various other people that have helped. I hope you find this little, it's just this little slide, just informative and giving you sort of an underlying understanding of what sarcoma is. Thank you.